Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be she has no enthusiasm to see, touch, or be close to me. Well, I got two different emails from two different guys that basically have similar problems. The first guy is a younger guy, and up until this past October, he moved to Boston from Florida. I don't know if it has something to do with school or whatever. And his girlfriend stayed behind because I guess she's trying to get into medical school. But ever since he's been gone, it's like she just doesn't really seem to care to see him. Even when he came to the state of Florida, he came to a different part of it. He gets together with her and she's like, I really can't spend that much time with you this week. And I mean, it's completely changed. And then we've got an email from a guy, he's 54, his wife is 56. This is both of them. It's their second marriage. They've been married for 2 years, but he says he's always the one to initiate sex. He's read the book a bunch of times. And it's just she seems to have no enthusiasm. The sex is really quick. But he says other than that, the relationship is really good. But he suspects that she's cheating on him. But however, he hasn't seen any evidence of that because he says he knows what to look for. So I guess he's been cheated on in the past. So let's go through these emails and see what we can see. He says, hi, Coach. This is the first guy. I've been following your work for a little over a year now, and I've read your book 4 times. I'm on my 5th read now. I'm aiming on reading it 10 to 15 times over the course of the next month. So you've been following me for a year, and so people, it's so amazing. It's like, because any of you guys that are very avid readers that are familiar with the book, you've probably tried to recommend it to lots of your friends and your family, and you typically are going to get a less than enthusiastic response. Oh, I'm too busy. I don't have time for that right now. I got to get my tennis elbow fixed. There's always an excuse. But as soon as there is emotional pain, the girl doesn't want to sleep with them, friend zones them, wife says she's leaving or whatever, then they're like, okay, I got to learn this. And so it wasn't until things really started to go sideways that this guy now has actually gotten serious about learning the material. That's what's so amazing. Us guys, we tend to be egocentric and we don't want to admit that we need help, especially when it comes with the ladies. And so therefore we'll just flail. It's the same reason back in the old days before GPS and we had physical maps. And so if you got lost, you had to stop and ask for directions. And typically guys would be like, no, I can figure it out. And the girl would be like, oh, stop, let's ask somebody. It's like, no, I'll figure it out. Because us guys, we don't want to admit that we're wrong or we don't know what we're doing or that we're lost. We don't want to look like we can't figure it out. So if you're trying to get your friends and family to read my book, it's like unless they're in real immediate pain that they need help with, they're probably not going to listen. I mean, very few people are open or even study self-help or any kind of mindset book. He says, I'm aiming on reading it 10 to 15 times over the course of the next month. My girlfriend and I have been long distance since I moved to Boston in October, and she stayed in Florida. She's on a gap year and was applying for medical schools, and things were great between us up until she began to lose hope that she'd get into any schools. In February, when I was visiting, I found myself being a beta male and apologizing frequently and even letting a thank you slip out after we had sex on my birthday for the first time in a month. Oh, thanks for the sex, babe. Thanks for throwing me a bone. Thanks for the mercy lay. It then got to the point where she told me she wasn't sure she wanted me to visit next and that she'd be very busy and not a lot of fun this summer. In other words, what she's saying is, yeah, I don't really care to see you. It's like, So that's obvious there's a significant loss of attraction, and he'd like to blame it on school and other things, which can be a contributing factor. But if you're acting like a beta male and you're thanking her for having sex with you after the first time in a month, it's obvious you're seeking her attention and validation and not the other way around. You've basically assumed the woman's role in the relationship and have screwed up the sexual polarity. That's what really needs to be addressed, but us guys being egocentric, we don't want to admit it's our fault. We didn't do anything to screw it up. It's just, it's got to be she's busy with school. Can't be anything we did. Of course, acting like a beta male and begging for sex and attention. And then when she gives it to us, we're like, oh, thanks, Your Highness. Thanks for sleeping with me and having sex. Whoo, boy, I feel so much better now. Our sex life was great before she expressed that she felt she was gaining a bit of weight and felt self-conscious about how she looked. And whenever I visit, we typically only have sex once, if at all. Well, there is a process. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. The seduction process is laid out for you in the book. But if you're begging her for attention and validation, more than likely this guy's probably doing most of the pursuing at this point as well. I mean, he admits that he was a beta male. He says, I made plans to fly to Florida as part of my job and didn't tell her until the day of my flight because she was being short in my texts and rarely asked things about me, so I felt she just didn't care a lot about my life. Well, if you look at her actions, it's obvious her interest was low, and so therefore, yeah, she doesn't really care. When a woman's interest is high, she wants to be a part of your life, your business, your career. Anything she can interject herself into, she wants to be a part of because you're her man, you're her rock, you're her mountain. And when her interest is low, yeah, she really doesn't care. She doesn't care at all. And you can tell this woman just really ain't into it. He says, when I got into town, she was blowing up my phone, saying she felt bad that she was getting an odd vibe from me, not telling her I was in the same state as her again, and asked if I wanted to visit her. So you'll see where it's just this guy is just so soft. He's such a pushover. He's completely abdicated any kind of leadership position and basically made her the man in the relationship. And you'll see here's another example in a sec. He says, deep down, I wanted to tell her that I didn't feel wanted and that I put in all the effort to visit her. So why should I make the effort to go all the way up to where she was living in Gainesville if she wasn't going to make the effort to come down to Sarasota? Well, this is why you read the book 10 to 15 times, because you sound like a whinge bag and a mangina talking like that. That's the wrong mindset. You should have just had the mindset, it's like, oh, sorry, babe, it's business, but I'd love to see you. Why don't you drive down to Sarasota and get out of Gainesville for the weekend. Come see me in Sarasota. And if she doesn't, just say, all right, well, next time I'm in town, we'll get together. It's too bad. Let me know if you change your mind. I got to run, hon. I got a meeting to go to. Click. But no, that's not what he did. He says, I love going to Gainesville to stay with her. And she asked how long I was staying for. So he probably imposed on her. It says, so can I come see you in Gainesville, please? When I told her I'd be driving back and forth, but hoped to stay through the next week, she told me, oh, this is classic, I'm going to be very busy next week. So in other words, yeah, I don't really want you staying. See, it's like your whole mindset, everything, you're just begging this woman to spend time with you, to pay attention to you. This is the opposite of what the book teaches. I know you claim to have read it 4 or 5 times, but nothing has changed. Your mindset is the opposite. You keep behaving like this, she's just going to ghost you probably. He says, then upon asking her to join me and my family for St. Patrick's Day dinner in Sarasota, she said she was helping our old rowing coach take engagement photos and couldn't. Ah, shucks. Taking pictures with their old rowing coach. Gosh darn it. Oh, the chance to spend time with you and your family. Oh, just can't make it. It just shows it's not that important to her. You're not important to her. Her interest is super low, dude. And you may have read the book a few times, but again, you're not even doing remotely close to what it suggests. It seems very clear to me that I am not a priority to her at this moment. I don't want to fall under the illusion of action, and I feel like the best course of action is to back up, match and mirror her actions, and prioritize other things in my life over her. What do you think? That's exactly what you should be doing, but obviously up until this moment in time, you have not. You've continued. The quickest way to get somebody else's attention is to remove yours. And I like the fact that since she wasn't paying much attention, and then you told her, hey, I'm in Florida, I would have made her come to see you. And if she wasn't willing to do that, you should have said, all right, call me if you change your mind. You don't give your attention to somebody that doesn't appreciate it and value it. Because the greatest gift you can give anybody is a gift of your time. And if you're constantly trying to give it to somebody that just doesn't care, it shows that you don't value your time either. So if you're willing to let her waste it, obviously it's not very valuable. So you should have been following what the book teaches instead of continuing to do the opposite. It's clear you've over pursued, you've acted weak. I mean, when you're thanking her for having sex with you, it's like, and then you're only having sex one time when you get together. It's like, it's like a pity sex. Got to do better, man. It's like you can't just read the book and do the opposite and be shocked that your girlfriend's pussy's drier than a bucket of sand. If you had been following what the book teaches, she'd be all over you. She'd be wanting sex more than you want it. But you act like a girl, you're going to get treated like a platonic friend that she has no interest in spending time with. So let's go to the second guy. He says, Dear Coach, I've been an avid follower of yours since I discovered you a few years ago. Yes, I've read the book maybe 30 times. I still listen to it on Audible every now and then. If you ever need to give a TED Talk in your book, I'd be a great choice to deliver the information impactfully. Well, as long as you're actually applying it. He says, I'm 54 and my wife is 56. It is a second marriage for both of us, a little over 2 years married now, both fit and attractive. We have a good marriage except when it comes to our sex life. I am baffled. Yes, I understand and still use the table of attraction levels frequently. I make certain she has my full presence. She knows she is heard and understood. We communicate and do not argue. I give with no attachment to an expectation. I just like to give. But is she giving back? That's the important thing. You got to pay attention to what's coming back. I do my best to be aware of how I show up when we are together. I treat her like a lover, not just a friend. I am not her lapdog. I do have a backbone, and she knows this. I honestly do keep the courtship alive. Well, what about your life, though? What about your friends, your family, your hobbies, your interests, the things that you used to do before you met her? Are you still doing those, or has your life completely gotten to the point where it revolves around her? Have you made your wife your purpose now? Because it sounds like a little bit you've kind of lost yourself. He says, it is I that always initiates sex. I do not beg. Sex is not worth that much to me. Well, if you're always initiating sex, that tells me you probably spend too much time with her and not enough time away. Do you ever go out with the boys and have some beers? Do you go hang out with your parents if they're still alive? What do you do? What about your hobbies, your interests? Did you give all those things up and now your wife is the sole source of your social life? Because two people come together to share their completeness, not to complete one another. And the fact that if you're always initiating sex, so that tells me every time you're around her, she never plays with her hair, she never touches your arm, she never bumps into you, never gets close, never rubs up against you. If that's going on, that tells me that she's bored with you. That tells me that she's not that into it. She's not feeling it. Maybe she's going through menopause. I don't know, but I mean, at the end of the day, you married this girl just 2 years ago. What was your sex life then? Was it better then? Has it declined? When I do so, I have to make an effort. It's nuts to the length I have to go to that she gets the idea. She has never been the one to initiate. Well, why did you marry her then? Why wouldn't you marry somebody that's extremely passionate about you? He says, I have communicating my fantasies, no holding back either, and turn-ons, so there are no guessing games. Your standard guy turn-ons, nothing outlandish or weird, and she won't do any of it? I have communicated this more than once, but she does not act on them. Why doesn't she act on them? Because she doesn't care. She doesn't want to. She doesn't care to make you happy. Maybe this was going on before you guys got married and you just didn't pay attention to it, but it's kind of late in the game here to be going, oh, you know what? She doesn't do anything for me. When we do have sex, it is generally the missionary mambo. Late at night, dark house, her mother is asleep, doors locked. Oh, so do you live with her parents? Or did you move her mother in with you because she's elderly? That sucks. I mean, missionary, if you just bend her legs back and put her in the bugs and take a nice long time thrusting in and out on top of her body, 10, 15, 20 minutes, you should be giving her multiple orgasms. It's a easy, if you know what you're doing, it's an easy position to get your girl off. Is she really super enjoying the sex? If she's not having multiple orgasms, then it'd be no wonder she's not that into it. He says, to me, it always feels like pity sex or sex just given with a hurry up attitude from her. Again, that tells me that she's not into it. She's not feeling it. 99% of it is just quick intercourse. What does that mean? You blow your wad and you're in and out? Two pump chump? Come on, dude. If this is like, if you're going to have sex with you, you're going to make sure she's having multiple orgasms. And if you're just 99% quick intercourse, then yeah, it's like, it's not going to be enjoyable for her. Why would she even want to have sex with you? So something has definitely been missed here. You either married a girl that wasn't that into you, or you got sloppy along the way, or the sex was never that good and you married her anyway. I don't know. Why would you marry a woman that's been treating you this way? He says, it's boring to the point I'd rather just take out the trash and watch grass grow. It's like, whew. He says, I've been direct but calm when discussing the issue with my wife. She promises to do better, but nothing changes. You know why nothing changes? Because she doesn't care. She ain't feeling it. For whatever reason, she ain't feeling it. Probably because you're, again, too focused on her, and maybe you've given up so go be busy. Go come home later. Leave earlier. Instead of spending the weekend with her, go do things with your friends. Go where you're celebrated and you're wanted. If your wife treats you like a second-class citizen, then go be busy and do things without her. And give her the gift of missing you. Be the one coming home late. Have a life outside of her. That may be part of the problem. He says, I've asked her about her fantasies, and she says she has none, which is BS. This is impossible, he says. I've offered her your standard female fantasies, no dice. Yeah, but you can't talk her into having a fantasy. That's something that you discuss and you play around with when she's aroused. It's like you're approaching this like a clinical doctor. Well, tell me your fantasies and I will do these to you, Your Highness. She has a toy cabinet, and I asked her what she thinks about when she is playing with herself, and she will not say or state something like, just you. He says, yeah, right. Yeah, the reality is I can just tell by the email that she's not into it, she's not feeling it, and you're extremely focused on her and the fact that she's not giving you what you want, and that tells me that you're probably spending too much time with her and you don't have any hobbies or interests outside of her. You're probably smothering the hell out of her. So there's no space, there's no time. Plus, her mother's living in the house, or maybe you're living at her house. I don't really know what's going on. He didn't elaborate. I have told her I'm willing to make her fantasies come true. She replies, once again, she has no sexual fantasies. Yeah, again, you're trying to talk her into getting turned on. It's like, that's not how it works, dude. I tell her that is not possible. She did once admit to being bi-curious. He says, hell yes, great for me, I'm in. But that is all. Yeah, this woman is definitely not in love with you. I don't see any kind of passion in her towards you. I don't know why that is, because the way you frame the email, you make it sound like she's just not that into sex. It's possible she's going through menopause or has some kind of physical thing, but just in general, there's no enthusiasm. Even when you tell her what you want her to do to you, she doesn't do it. And the only reason she doesn't do it is because she has an emotionally compelling reason. And the emotionally compelling reason is a lack of interest, a lack of passion for you. I ask specifically what are her turn-ons, and she always replies, oh, I really do not know. She just doesn't care to tell you because she's not into it. She's not feeling it. She has plenty of lingerie, war paint, and alluring clothing that she wears to work. Well, maybe not the lingerie, but by the time I get home, it's just an old shirt and jeans. Yeah, she's not dressing up for you and looking hot because, again, she doesn't care. She looks hot at work, but when she comes home, she looks like a bum. So it shows that she just doesn't want to look hot for her man. Why doesn't she want to look hot for her man? Because she's not feeling the attraction. I can't tell from your email because, again, the way you've worded it, you make it sound like it's all her fault. But it just sounds like you stopped being the guy that she was into, but maybe it was never really there. Maybe the passion wasn't ever really there and you just married her anyways because you were lonely. I don't know. It's just, I'm only going off of what you tell me. At this point, I think she is cheating on me and is very good at hiding it. He says, there are no telltale signs, though. Those I know well. However, she does have a second job that is at night, and works several evenings a month. What do you think? Well, is she getting all dressed up at night for her night job? Video or not? Does she come home and take a shower as soon as she gets home and then want to hang out with you? He says, what do you think? Video or not? I'd love your input. Well, again, like I said, the way you framed it, you just kind of made it sound like, well, she's just not interested in sex. But there is a total lack of enthusiasm and passion from her towards you. And I know you say you're looking at the interest level table, but when a woman's in love with you, she wants to be close to you and touch you and have sex with you all the time. And if she doesn't, it's because she's not feeling it. And so something is going on here. You're either spending too much time with her and you're smothering her, and you're seeking her attention and validation, and you're waiting on her hand and foot. And in that case, I'd say go get busy. Go visit your family. Go visit your friends. Go hang out with your guys. Have a guys' night out. Maybe a guys' weekend. Go hunting or something. Like go fishing with your friends and let her be. The quickest way to get somebody else's attention is to remove yours. And if somebody's not appreciating your attention, then go give it to somebody who does. Go hang out with people that are excited to see you. Let her wonder about you, where you're at, what you're doing, what you're up to, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Because it's when you're around somebody like this and she just acts like, you're just another lampshade, and then you continue to get upset that she's not excited to be around you, that's part of the problem. That tells me that you're focused on her and making her the center of your life. And it's like on some level you stop doing what you were doing that caused her to fall in love. But I don't know, it doesn't even sound like there was that much passion when you got married. So it's like, why'd you get married in the first place? Like I said, maybe you're just a lonely guy and you wanted to have somebody, and she was the best thing that came along. But something is definitely off here. And like I said, based on the information he's provided, like I said, there's not enough here to go off of for me to be able to tell what potentially he's doing. But he really is focused on her a lot. So that tells me, just like the first guy, he's probably he's also giving her way too much attention, and is ignoring the fact that, because when you give your attention to somebody and they don't appreciate it, then go give it to somebody else. It doesn't mean go out on a date with somebody else. It just means go hang out with your buddies, go hang out with your friends, go to the man cave, go have a guy's weekend, go fish and go hunting with your buddies for 3 or 4 days, and do things away from her. Go hang out with your friends. She's got a job at night or whatever. It's like, be busy doing other things. Let her wonder about you and what you're up to. Women, it's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And both these women have the power. They know they have the power, and they're really not that into it. And yet the guys keep hanging around hoping to talk them into or use logic and reason to cause them to like them more and want to sleep with them more. And that's just simply not how it works. It's in the book, but if you're reading the book and then just continuing on with this kind of effort, you're doing the opposite of what it teaches. So if you got a question or challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.